vaguely read it's called a new IMO, and it's quite sweet. In the shop, a board shows it with meat and announces delicious creamy puree. You think it's like potato for puree. Yep, it's a super sweet potato. Excellent when you bake it. That was too sweet for my dish. Not bad, but too sweet to eat a lot. I have eaten half of the potatoes only. A delicacy of the Tanegashima Islands, this variety is so sweet that Anu Imo is almost syrupy. Its flavor is unique too. Najia Market imports Anu Imo directly from Tanegashima and sells it as Yaki Imo. What is the difference between a sweet potato and a yam? Several decades ago, when orange-fleshed sweet potatoes were introduced in the southern United States, producers and shippers desired to distinguish them from the more traditional, white-fleshed types. The African word nyami, referring to the starchy, edible root of the Dioscorea genus of plants, was adopted in its English form, yam. Yams in the U.S. are actually sweet potatoes with relatively moist texture and orange flesh. Although the terms are generally used interchangeably, the U.S. Department of Agriculture requires that the label yam always be accompanied by sweet potato. Sweet potatoes saved the Japanese through various famines during the Edo era, and production grew as a substitute for rice. According to legend, the first Yakumo store opened in 1793 in Edo, and it became very successful. Subsequent to the start of the Pacific War in 1941, Japan suffered a period of food shortage. That shortage grew more severe during the post-war period. Sweet potatoes became a staple for the Japanese people, and for many years they were a popular food item. In the 1970s, however, convenience stores and fast food restaurants mushroomed and Yakumo stores quickly disappeared. Sweet potatoes are often called Satsuma Imo in Japanese. Satsuma is a region in the south, also famous for revolutionary samurais. There is a standard Satsuma Imo with purple skin and light yellow flesh that is available everywhere, year-round, cheaply. They grow like weeds here. This Anu Imo is a subspecies, and there exist about a dozen of other Japanese sweet potatoes that we find seasonally at the market. They have different shapes and colors. We are amazed at the varieties of Yakumo that have become available in recent years, with their delightful aroma of malt sugar and as sweet and tasty as cake. Improvements in the breeding of sweet potatoes, advancements in cultivation, curing, and storage technologies, and extensive research in roasting are behind the evolutionary changes of Yakumo. The traditional types of Yakumo include potatoes roasted to the smooth, slightly dry texture favored in Kanto and those with the softer, moister texture eaten in Kansai and the South. With the availability of Naruto Kentucky, Beni Haruka, and Tanegashima Islands Ano Imo, which boasts the highest sugar concentrations, the softer types of Yakumo are now popular. Sweet potatoes are said to have originated in Mexico or Central America. How they came to Japan was a mystery until recently, but researchers credible of which traces back to prehistoric Peru, from where sweet potatoes were reportedly brought to Easter Island and then to Polynesia around 1000 BC. Sweet potatoes were introduced to Japan after travel through a series of islands, arriving at Miyakojima Island in 1594, Okinawa Island in 1604, and Tanegashima Island in 1698. In 1705 they reached the land of the Satsuma clan on the Japanese island of Kyushu. In 1734, sweet potatoes made it to the Edo metropolis, and farmers began to cultivate them. Sweet potatoes were called Satsuma Imo in Edo because they came from Satsuma, and Kara Imo in Satsuma because they arrived from the country of China. These names suggest how sweet potatoes had traveled. Unlike regular potatoes, which grow best when the soil is cool, sweet potatoes like it hot. They are tropical plants that are very sensitive to cold weather. In warm climates, many gardeners plant sweet potatoes about a month after the last spring frost, when both the air and soil are dependably warm. The plants produce lush vines that make a pretty ground cover, so they are a great crop for beds that